All United Nations victory has been won. The war is over.
It's got to be one of the most historic bases on all the Air Force. We faked the landing at the southern beaches. They were able to take over Tinian in only 8 days. That drew the Japanese south. They didn't expect it all.
Tinian was the largest airfield here in the Pacific, and it was built so very quickly in order to prosecute the war.
Where we are here is the final step of the Manhattan Project, to build the atomic bombs in World War II.
You can read about it in a textbook, but until you actually see it with your own eyes, it becomes a lot more real.
This is a very pivotal time in history. We're looking back at the past and rebuilding these old airfields to possibly be used in the future.
I like to say very frequently, like, we're going back to the future. As part of our Agile Combat Employment, we have taken a look at all of the historic airfields within the Pacific that help to launch and execute successful campaigns. Building new is not the way to go, and it's very expensive. Repairing and rehabilitating what exists is a much better economic solution.
My name is Jeffrey Meyer. I'm the 36th Wing historian. My job here is to collect the history of the base as it's happening. So these are different B-29s here. This one here is actually one from the 9th Bomb Group that flew from Tinian. After Pearl Harbor, this whole area was under Japan's control. And Saipan was the center of the communications for the Japanese forces. Guam was the supermarket of the Pacific. Taking these islands was definitely to get the B-29 Superfortress within round-trip range of mainland Japan. Where Northfield is today, that field only had like a 4,000-foot runway and a big tarmac. It was basically just a Japanese fighter base for one-engine airplanes. Aircraft started arriving there in January of 1945. There was enough room to put 265 aircraft, and they had the 4 runways, 8,500 by 150, and then flew their first combat mission over Japan in February of 1945.
The battle for Tinian took about a week, but less than 3 days later, even as fighting was still going on, engineers were building this airfield. Not many people come here to visit. It's a difficult journey, hard to reach, but it's still one of the most important battlegrounds and battle sites of the U.S. Air Force and the U.S. military. I invite you to spend the next 10-15 minutes walking around the bomb pits and taking the area in.
The atomic bomb Little Boy was brought over by the USS Indianapolis. It was dropped off, put together.
Once the devices were fully assembled, they were stored in these 2 pits.
Basically, they backed the B-29 up over the hole, and then they would lift it up inside. They didn't want to arm it till after it was off the ground.
They had a significant amount of authority on the island. They were able to redirect work, material, whatever they needed had to be provided.
And then it was loaded up on the Enola Gay on the 5th or 6th of August, 1945. Colonel Tibbets took off and they dropped the bomb.
This secret, isolated, protected site was the most important part of Tinian Island.
They pretty much shut down all of Tinian Saipan's operations 1946, and then only what became Anderson Air Force Base was open after 1949.
So obviously when the end of World War II, they pulled everything out because obviously our focus was starting to change. We've come back here to Tinian to rehabilitate it back to what it originally was. We're not coming in and building up, we're actually tearing down and building back up. So it's not considered new construction, it's considered restoration.
It took 100,000 Seabees back in 1945 to build all 4 runways, taxiways, and the ramps. Our team is trying to uncover all 4 of those taxiways, the ramps, and the runways.
I look forward to having Red Horse engineers and our Seabees working jointly on that airfield to bring it back to the capability that it had back in the 1940s.
So Tinian right now I'm rocking about a 23 personnel team. This is a huge scale. I mean, we're talking, it's like 500 acres this area is, and they have the opportunity to come in. They run all the heavy equipment. You can't beat it. This is every dirt boy's dream.
First engineering-wide Red Horse unit in the Indo-Pacific since World War II, 80 years.
Because it's a National Historic Landmark, we work very, very closely with our partners in the Joint Region Marianas and the CNMI Historic Preservation Office. Our undertaking is consistent with their responsibilities to maintain this landmark.
If we were starting from scratch, you're just able to just tear through the ground. But here, we're trying to preserve the existing pavement as we're clearing.
Being that we can rehabilitate this, start landing multiple aircraft on here, and to do future joint exercises is pivotal to the future of this region.
Our goal is to be in peace and to be able to successfully execute construction while in this peacetime environment. It puts everything back into the realm of can do. The rehabilitation of Tinian Northfield is hard to do, and we're going to get it done. We are on the right track with bringing all of this engineering capability into the theater. It demonstrates joint solutions in joint environments. What a better place to be able to do something like this than on Tinian Northfield.